Hello, I'm Peter Adams, President of California Art Club, and this is my lovely wife, Elaine, who is Executive Director and CEO of the California Art Club. And we're here to introduce one of our favorite people. Who is that, Elaine?
John Stern.
And John Stern is the Senior Curator of California Impressionism at the University of California at Irvine. And what else are some of the things that John has done over the years?
John Stern has been with us since way back when we revived the California Art Club, and he's done so much for our organization and teaching people about the importance of California Impressionism or plein air painting.
He's written a number of books on California Impressionism and curated a number of shows that have even traveled to Krakow and
Paris,
Madrid,
and
Madrid, Spain, yes.
So he's made California Impressionism an internationally known form of art.
Actually, John needs no introduction. Everyone in the field knows who he is. So we're very pleased and honored to have John Stern speaking for us. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Hello, I'm John Stern, and I'm delighted to have been asked to do a brief tour of some of the wonderful paintings and sculptures that are on display at the California Art Club's 109th Gold Medal exhibition, which is associated this year with the Hilbert Museum of California Art at Chapman University. There are some gorgeous and wonderful works of art here, and I'm going to talk about just a few of them. But I encourage you to go through the California Art Club site and take a good look at all the wonderful art that you'll see. This is a painting entitled Be Calm, and it's by Mary Aslan. Mary Aslan is a master of pastel painting, and she likes to paint large, and this is one of those beautiful paintings that she does. Looking at the painting, I asked myself, what's the subject of Be Calmed? Be Calmed suggests a nautical tragedy where the wind is stopped and your sails don't work and you're just stuck in the ocean wherever you are. But there's no boat here, there's no ocean. The subject of Be Calm is ostensibly a boat sail that's been laid on top of the table. But in my mind, the subject is the light, because the light is handled in a very expertly way. It is able to reflect off a number of textures that Mary Aslan has included. Textures such as the delicate flowers in the vase. There's a bronze bell, there's a couple of other vases, there's a glass ball, there's a rope, there's a tabletop. But the subject is the sail. If the sail is on the table, it clearly is not on the boat. So the sail we all know is white, but when we look at this sail, there's hardly any white. There's all sorts of beautiful textures and colors. The sail is laying on the table. It isn't flat. It is all rumpled up. So we have peaks and valleys. And in the peaks, we have this beautiful bright white highlight. And the valleys are all sorts of other colors. There's some oranges in there, some pinks, some light blues. And yet we know that the sail is white, but there's very little white on there. So it's expert color handling. And this is really the way Mary Aslan works. Wonderful textures, wonderful handling of color. So this is called Be Calm, and it is a subject of a sail. Window Info by Ned Axthelm. This is a painting I really like, and I can see that it's inspired by the work of Edward Hopper. You all know Edward Hopper. He's an artist that his most famous painting is Nighthawks, and much of his work deals with the loneliness and seclusion of living in apartment life in New York. And this is the theme of this painting. The painting grabs you immediately because of these really beautiful colors and this very dynamic composition. Lots of lines, lots of angles. The painting shows 4 windows on the side of an apartment house up in one of the higher floors. Of the 4 windows, there's only one that's occupied that we can see. The upper 2 windows are completely shut. They're closed off. There's nothing there. It's just not part of the subject. The other 2 windows on the right is an open window, but it shows an empty chair. again, suggesting absence, loneliness. And the one that does have a person in it, the window on the left, shows a woman who is very involved in her chores. She is not relating to the viewer. She is not relating to anything. And it really adds to this idea of disconnection and loneliness. A painting is a bold color, beautiful lines, and it seems to say this is attractive and this is exciting, and it is, but the subject is quite different. It is, in my mind, it is an estrangement, an absence. Constance Reaching by Anna Rose Bain. The painting shows a young woman, semi-nude and wearing a transparent garment from her waist down. This is a very central subject from the start. You see this beautiful woman. She is facing away from you, which in a way adds to the intimacy because you create what you want to see in terms of what you can't see. In this case, the front of the woman, the breasts, the nakedness, we impose what we want to see, and it makes it even more attractive and more personal to the viewer. The young lady is placed in the middle of two softly lit windows. The windows, it may be because it's overcast outside, or it may be that it's the end of the day, so there's not a lot of light coming in. And there's not a lot of color in the painting. It's a very somber painting. It's limited in its color. It's very tonal. There's grays and browns and blacks, and it's very soft. There's not a lot of color. There's no blues, no reds, no yellows. So it creates a scene of quiet, of subtleness, of moodiness. She is placed in between the windows, so you can immediately spot her. And if you look on the floor, the corner that she's in, there's a little pyramid of lines coming up, and she's at the apex of the pyramid, which reinforces the idea that she is the subject. She's there. And you're not supposed to look at anything else because all the lines, all the shapes direct you to this lovely young woman. It's a very moody but very sensual painting. It's moody because the colors are subtle, the light is soft. It is in a small room, there's not a lot of space there. You're looking directly at a lovely young woman, and you again impose what you cannot see onto this woman. Avalon Sparkle by Amy Erickson. Why would people paint outdoors? It's a rhetorical question. We all know why. It's to capture the effects of natural light. If you want to paint the light, you should be in the light. So light is difficult to paint because it is constantly moving and it looks different on different textures. Whatever it illuminates, be it a hard surface, a soft surface, it's different. So it's very difficult to capture accurately the effects of light. And Amy Erickson is very good at it. There's a famous quote by Hans Hofmann, wonderful artist, teacher of 1940s and 50s. He said, in nature, light creates the color, but in art, color creates the light. So when you look out the windows, you can see green, reds, and yellows because they are being lit by the sun. But when you look at the painting, it is those colors that create the effect of light. The way the color is handled makes the viewer see this beautiful, fluid, natural light that was captured by the artist if it was done properly. And in this case, it's done very well. Amy shows us a sunrise in Avalon. That's Avalon Bay in the city of Avalon in Catalina. And it is difficult, again, to paint light, but it is more difficult to paint subtle light and to paint light that's changing from minute to minute. If this was a high noon painting, the light would be relatively still. It would be easier to capture, but this is an early morning light and it's constantly moving and it's constantly changing. And the effect is wonderful in this painting. Ramp Signal by Danny Griego. Danny Griego paints streets, shops, ordinary views of his neighborhood, of other places. And while this painting shows a scene that's not outwardly pleasing, it's not someplace we want to be, right in this freeway on-ramp or street, and looks like there's nobody there, looks like it's overgrown with weeds. But it is in many ways a very beautiful painting. And I find it beautiful because of this dynamic composition that Danny Griego uses. Half of the painting is on one level, the other half is on a different level. And they meet right in the middle where the viewer is standing. So this dynamic force that Danny puts us into is a really powerful image, and it grabs our attention and it doesn't let us go. It is a fascinating painting. Not beautiful, again, in terms of ordinary beauty, but it is beautiful in terms of the effect it has on the viewer. Stop and Eat by Tim Horn. Tim Horn is very much into the automobile culture. A lot of his work deals with automobiles. It deals with trucks, with cars. It deals with gas stations. It deals with truck stops. Anything to do with the automobile seems to really interest Tim Horn. This one is Stop and Eat is a very gentle and quiet painting. And it's gentle and quiet because the light, again, the light is a very early morning light. It looks like it's very like 6 in the morning. The sun is rising. The shadows are very long. And the shadows are long because the sun is low in the sky. And if it was low in the sky in the evening, it would be a moodier, darker painting. It wouldn't have this freshness in the atmosphere that this painting has. So I assume it's a coffee shop, maybe on a truck stop or a highway stop. And the reason it's called Stop and Eat means that people are going by it and they should stop and eat. It isn't your ordinary Denny's or other coffee shop where you go to the place and you stop it and you get in and eat. This is, you're in a car and you're hungry and you're coming to a place where you can have some food. But again, the light is very important in this painting. The setting is wonderful. The drawing is great. The poles look like poles. The car looks like a car. But it is the light to me that makes this work, because it is a very peaceful and quiet setting. It's early in the morning, so there are no people there. We are assumedly came in the car that's there, and we're waiting or going into this little coffee shop to eat. So it is a very solitary. There are no people there, and it is early in the morning. So this is a delightful painting. It's a wonderful painting. It's the color and the composition that make it easy to view it. It isn't challenging. You're in a nice area, you're in a calm, quiet place, and you're starting a new day and you're going to get something to eat. Wonderful painting. Compadres by Lori Kersey. Compadres, as we all know, is Spanish for friends. So Lori shows us a group of horses, 3 horses. And you know, the rule that's most important when you paint horses is if you do not know horses, do not paint them, because they are very difficult. You have to learn everything there is about a horse, the skeletal, the muscles, the attitude, the way they walk. Lori Kersey is very, very familiar with horses, and she paints a horse in the most beautiful way. And in this case, we have a group of horses, therefore they're friends, they're compadres. But she places the viewer as one of the horses. We're in there, we're with this group of horses. One of them's looking at us. They're not afraid of us. We're part of the group, we're friends, we're compadres. And it is, again, a very soft painting, gentle painting. There's no real big action. The colors are soft and calm. The lines are gentle, a lot of horizontal feel to them. It's an intimate view of horses and of somebody that really knows horses and knows how to paint them. This is what really impresses me about this painting. Acropora by Alexandra Manoukian. I had to look up Acropora, and everybody, I mean, if you look at a painting, you want to know why and what the title is. Acropora is a variety of coral. It's a very hard, stony coral, and it's found in large reefs and barrier reefs. And we look at this painting, and it's a lovely young lady, softly dressed in a very gauzy dress. She's sweet, she's gentle. What does coral have to do with it? We're underwater with this young lady, and the young lady doesn't seem to be concerned the fact that she's underwater. She's just looking at the viewer, but she has spots of her body that are covered with coral. Her arms, one of her arms is covered with corals, and her hair. And it is a painting that's very much in the surrealist tradition. It is a dreamlike image. It is a painting that is not real, but it combines various real elements to make a final image that doesn't make sense. So it's like a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. Here, Manoukian contrasts this soft, delicate, gentle child who's dressed in a very gauzy, very soft material, and yet she's underwater and she is posed with one of the hardest substance in the ocean. So you have this very soft, sweet young woman with fish around her, with underwater and hard coral around her. It is a wonderful painting because it really highlights that contrast. And the fact that it is very well done, this beautiful detail, beautiful accuracy, a wonderful painting. Rascal by Adam Matano. Rascal is an elegant rendition of a California condor. A California condor was once thought to be extinct in the wild. They replaced them with zoo-raised and specially raised chicks. They harvest the eggs, they bring them to adulthood, and then they release them again. So it is a bird that's very large. The wingspan's over 10 feet. And it did almost disappear, but now it's back, and it's quite rare, and it's a very protected species. This particular condor, I read about it on Adam Matano's website, is a bird named Dolly, and she lives at the LA Zoo. Matano is fascinated by wildlife, and much of his work deals with birds and animals and all sorts of wonderful natural world species. This particular piece called Rascal, Rascal is, her real name is Dolly, but Rascal is a much harsher name. And it's harsher because you look at it and it has a broken wing. And the wing was broken when the bird was young. It never learned to fly. So it has this left wing that's constantly drooping and it's handicapping the bird. But it is very defiant. It's even raising a claw and telling you back off, you're getting too close. It is a statement of endurance, of dignity, of still being there and still fighting and doing the best you can with what Rascal has is this handicap of a wing. So Dolly cannot fly, but she's still a vulture and she's still magnificent and she still wants to defend her territory. Whistler at the National Gallery by Robert Porter. Bob Porter is a San Francisco artist who paints urban scenes, landscapes in Northern California, and has a fascination with museums, which to me, being a museum man, is a great thing. So this painting is set at the National Gallery in Washington, DC. In the middle of the painting is another painting by Whistler. It's a very famous large painting called Symphony in White, The White Girl. It was painted by Whistler in 1861 and 1862. Whistler liked to go back and rework his paintings and rework his paintings. He was a real devotee of the old saying that it may be signed, but it's never finished. And anyway, that's another story. I had a Whistler once in my inventory, and it had been reworked and reworked. Okay, back to the National Gallery. The painting is a standing portrait of a woman named Joanna Heffernan. And she was a model and a mistress to Whistler. She was also a mistress with Gustave Courbet, but a very attractive woman, and she shows up a lot in Whistler's paintings. Porter's skills as an advertising background, he comes from advertising, is really evident in his skills at drawing and a very clear and wonderful composition. He uses a lot of soft colors. It's inside a museum. It's a gentle place. It's quiet. The painting he wants us to see, the Symphony in White, is centered between two walls, and it's right in the middle of the painting. And the perspective lines, the corners, all converge on that painting, so giving it a very dominant and very premier place. There's a person there, human presence, but it really doesn't figure into the painting because he's not relating to us and he's not relating to the painting, but he's there for scale to show you how big things are and how big the painting is. So it is a very soft, a very gentle, a very comforting mood that Bob Porter has created, very much the way a museum should be, where you can just come in, relax, enjoy the paintings, and do a lot of wonderful contemplation. The Bell Cricket by Marty Rees. This is a sweet little sculpture. It's in bronze and a couple of little glass lanterns. It is two little girls with Japanese paper lanterns. They're about to light them. Rees loves to do work that deals with the innocence of youth. Here we have two sisters, an older and a younger sister, and the older sister is lighting her Japanese paper lantern, and the younger one is waiting patiently to have hers lit. The title of the sculpture is The Bell Cricket, and there's no cricket in the sculpture, but it relates to a short story called The Grasshopper and the Bell Cricket, a story by Yasunari Kawabata, and it deals with people that are going to go out and look for grasshoppers, and one of them finds a bell cricket. Bell cricket is a very rare Japanese insect, and it has a noise that sounds like a very high-pitched ringing bell, very different from the ordinary cricket noises. The bronze sculpture is also based on a very famous painting by John Singer Sargent called Carnation, Lily, Lily, Rose, which shows two girls lighting their Japanese paper lanterns, and they're going to hang them in the garden at night, and there's some flowers blooming, lots of lilies, carnations, and it's going to make the garden that much more of a mystical and beautiful place. So the sculpture is based on two famous works, the painting and the poem. And because the artist used the name of Bell Cricket, which relates to the poem more than it does to the John Singer Sargent painting, there's this underlying theme of identifying people that are different, that are more worthy and more worthy of love. La Jolla Cliffs by Ray Roberts. Ray Roberts is a wonderful painter, and few artists can capture the fluidity, the vividness, the life that comes with natural light like Roberts can do. This is a large painting. It's 30 by 40 inches, and it shows a scene of La Jolla in Southern California. Roberts knows how to use color. And again, color is very important to create light in a painting. And if you don't use it properly, the light doesn't look natural. But by handling color and by doing it properly, you can create the light, you can create atmosphere, you can create air. In this case, this is an ocean scene. We're looking from the ocean across to the town, which is on the side of the hill. So there's a beautiful set of lines that lead you to the background. If you look at the top and the base of the cliff that's on the right, it leads you right down the center of the painting. And then the other important thing in terms of perspective is the atmosphere. It's called aerial perspective. In this case, the rocks that are closest to the viewers do not have a lot of mist. The color is the way it should be. But as you go along that cliff towards the background, the color changes ever so slightly. And that's because of the atmosphere. There's a haze, and the haze reflects the sky, and the sky tends to make the haze look a little blue. So the more distance there is, the more thick, the more blue the haze becomes. So you have both linear perspective and aerial perspective working together here. And the result is a very bright, happy painting, cool ocean, warm trees, warm houses, very, very wonderful view of nature and a cliffside looking into La Jolla. Autumn's Carpet by Dan Schultz. This is an interesting little painting because it is toned to the colors of autumn. And autumn is the end of summer, the coming of winter. It is a transition towards the end of the year, towards the end of the summer. So there's a kind of a finality to autumn. Something is changing, and it's no longer the happy, bright, sunny summer that we just had, and we look forward to the winter, and then again back to spring. This is called Autumn's Carpet, and the painting is underpainted in a pink color, and pink tends to warm whatever color is on top of it. So the artist has put yellow on it, but because the pink is coming through, it has a pumpkin color to it, which again associates with autumn. And the blue, when the red, the pink warms through, it becomes a violet, another soft and gentle color. So there's no shadow in this painting. It's maybe an overcast day, it may be dusk. And the subject, the lone figure, is a woman that is putting on a shawl because it's getting chilly, maybe the sun is setting, but she's also walking away from the viewer. It is a termination painting. She's leaving. Summer is leaving. Autumn is coming. It's a very powerful painting using the imagery of the people and the colors. Endless Light, Main Beach Laguna by Wendy Worth. Again, we have a painting of the end of the day, and the colors are very subdued. There's a lot of soft grays, there's mauve. Mauve is a type of, it's a blue color that's been softened, usually by mixing pink or red in it, but it is a gentle, quiet, softened color. And we're looking along a row of rocks towards the city of Laguna Beach. Sweep to the left as you're looking at the painting, the coast, the rocks, the breaking surf. There's a really nice white line as the surf is breaking that leads you around to the left and into the rest of the painting in the distance. And in the distance is the buildings and streets and lights of Laguna Beach. The viewer is on the rocks and it's starting to get dark. It's the end of the day. And if you follow the perspective, you follow the lines, it leads you to a brightly lit downtown area. So it goes to a welcoming, an inviting part. So it's going to get dark, so you want to get someplace where it'll be bright, there'll be other people there, and it'll be warm. So again, a very successful painting in terms of creating an atmospheric sense and leading the viewer to where the artist wants them to be. Salty Crew by Jeff Yeomans. Jeff Yeomans is a Southern California artist that loves to paint cars and streets and beaches and young people. In this case, we have a really wonderful Southern California painting. There's beautiful sunlight. There's happy people. They're wearing bright colors. They're at the beach. There's a couple of surfboards. And the people are relating to you. They're looking at the viewer, which is an inviting gesture. It makes you come in. It engages you. and it brings you into the group as you are part of this happy group of people. The sun is behind those people. It is a backlit, or as the French would say, contre-jour, meaning the light is lighting the back of the subject, not the front. In most cases, an artist will paint with the sun lighting the front of whatever they are painting. In this case, the sun is behind the people. And that creates a kind of a silhouette effect. And it creates a very soft, lighting, bright edge, a kind of like glistening edge to each of the figures. It is a painting that tells a story. It's a story of a group of friends, and the viewer is welcomed into this group of friends, and they're having fun. And it's, you know, welcome to Southern California. Enjoy the climate, enjoy the beach. Thank you all for listening to my brief tour of the wonderful paintings and sculptures that are on display at the California Art Club 109th Annual Gold Medal Exhibition. I encourage you to look at our website and to enjoy much more activities associated with this Gold Medal exhibition. Thank you.